This video is sponsored by Keeps. More on them later.
Yo! Hi everyone, I hope you all enjoyed your holidays. I spent mine trying to relax and not think too much about YouTube because this is the sort of thing that can consume you and have you think twice about every small decision you make. You know, when things are going well, it feels like you're riding the crest of a wave into the sunset, but when things go bad, you fill up with resentment very quickly. Let's just say I've got a lot of resentment to burn off right now.
If you're familiar with my regularly scheduled viewing experience on the RabbidLuigi YouTube channel, you might be surprised to see that I'm not talking about the next 12 months of video games and how good they might be, hopefully. And that's because I've been bubbling away for years on something that only now I feel equipped to tackle. If you've seen one of my videos before, it will likely be a top 5 or a top 10 about some video game stuff, and I've been doing it for so long that I've made 374 of them in the past. Yes, I keep track of them, I kinda need to at this point. Lots of videos on a wide variety of topics, and that's all well and good, but as soon as you develop any kind of reputation for making top 10s, you inevitably put yourself in the shadow of a channel called WatchMojo. You've heard of them, because it's quite hard to spend any amount of time on YouTube without tripping over one of their videos, since these guys have been pumping out content of some shape or form for more than 14 years to the total of over 20,000 videos. With 24 million subscribers, it's less of a YouTube channel and more of a small empire that spans a host of small channels for different demographics and languages. It's quite the feat, and Ashkan Karbasfrushan should be very proud.
Yeah, I nailed it!
Anyway, let's get talking about all the poopy bad things. Which we're definitely going to do, but firstly I need to talk about my lack of hair, which is disappearing faster than ever these days because WatchMojo and YouTube in general stress me out. And as someone who turns 27 this year, I'm nicely positioned to lose more, but with today's sponsors Keeps, I won't have to. These guys are pretty dang smart when it comes to avoiding baldness with their FDA-approved treatment for hair loss that comes with years of experience and a ton of successful cases under their belts. They're so smart that they know that hair loss is different from one guy to the next, which is why their treatment comes in 3 different variants, depending on what kind of hair loss you're experiencing. Plus, you can get everything shipped directly to your door so you don't have to wait for the world to be not so diseased before you can fix your hair. Keeps' treatment packages are already cheaper than their competitors, but with the deal they're running with me today, you can save even more money! For a limited time offer, you can go to keeps.com/rabbid or click the link in the description to receive 50% off your first order. Stop hair loss now before it's too late. Anyway, back to these fucking clowns. YouTube's a funny old game, and I've seen a lot of change on this site over the last 10 years. I first started using the platform in 2007, and started making my own videos in 2011, and if anyone watching remembers those early videos, I'm sorry! And it's safe to say that the YouTube of the late 2000s is very different to what it's like in 2022 AD.
Slight tangent, but has anyone else noticed that YouTube hasn't changed its layout all that recently? I mean, they're off doing other stupid things like removing dislikes and making it generally harder to make money off their website, but it feels like it's been a very long time since they got into a stage of changing the layout of their website every like 6 months or so. You know, I'm just waiting for the next thing, the next update that is terrible, because, you know, next time, maybe they'll get rid of the comments section and replace it with some kind of shitty reactions thing. Oh, I put an emoji there, that's how I feel about this video. You know, that sounds terrible enough to be possible.
Even beyond the aesthetic differences, early YouTube was a trip, since Google weren't involved until 2006, and they were actually running Google Videos until 2012. Does anyone else remember Google Videos? That was so weird. Certainly YouTube was different for a while after that, since it took organizations a while to realize the earning potential that YouTube had, and the vast majority of big channels were individuals or small groups dicking around with their cameras, people who had an idea and needed somewhere to put it. The commercialization naturally came in later when Google started to integrate their ads in the space around videos and within the videos themselves, and with the kind of audience these heavy hitters had in their prime, the earning potential was fully realized. You see, this was a time when YouTube didn't have 1,000,001 things wrong with its monetization system, and things like Patreon or multiple revenue streams weren't as necessary. Truly a bygone era. So why is this all important then? Well, it's interesting to see how and why, and I suppose when, people got into making YouTube videos. The further back you go, the likelier you are to find channels that were launched for the love of video creation, since the chance of doing this as full-time employment wasn't as attainable as it is now, which just raises the question of a YouTube channel's true intentions when it comes to content creation. Head over to Google Trends and punch in the word YouTuber and you'll find that the concept of a professional YouTube guy is becoming more commonly acceptable, having not really been a thing in the early 2010s. Which would be great if it didn't come with massive drawbacks.
We're about to do something that few people like to do on YouTube, and that's talk about the professional financial side of YouTube. Because, you know, people get a bit defensive when talking about how a hobby can become a job and the line between the two, and how you need to find a balance because of how you approach both of those things. And for me, it's somewhere in the middle, which may sound encouraging, but if anything, it means that it's hard to split the two apart. And that is the challenge and part of the issue of YouTube in general.
Alright, so here's the through line. If a common hobby can eventually become a job if you work hard enough at it, or put out the right kind of content at the right time, what are someone's true intentions from the outset? Do you get into YouTube to create videos about something you love, or because it looks like an easy job that can earn you a lot of money without much in the way of qualifications or experience? Do you create YouTube videos because you see all these YouTubers and feel inspired, or do you make videos because there's a chance that you could make money and launch a career out of it? Even more fun, when a hobby becomes full-time employment, where do you draw the line between hobby and job? That last one has been on my mind for years as someone who started full-time YouTube in 2014, since as soon as you rely on YouTube to pay the bills and to put food on the table, it does tend to change how you feel about the videos you put out and how much time you spend on the analytics tab, combing through data to determine why a video has done so well and how to replicate that going forward. And also why numbers aren't going up despite all the effort you've put in. Of all the changes that YouTube has implemented over the last few years, the one that tells you that the video you spent the last week making hasn't been viewed much compared to others is, oh, it's so good? Thanks for that one, it's really good. Is a fairly common dilemma that you can find in basically any creative field, be it artists or musicians or screenwriters. The line between making something because you've had a spark of creativity and making something because it's more likely to make you money. It's a hell of a thing to think about, and even worse to actively ponder when you're in the middle of creating something. You know what I said at the start about second guessing every small decision you make? Yeah, this will be it. So if you're in the business of making money through YouTube videos, it would stand to reason that you would do everything in your power to optimize the videos that you put out and effectively make them as watchable as possible, even at the expense of quality. Oh shit, have we finally made it back around to WatchMojo?
It might seem like we've gone like 3 sides of a square to get back to the original issue of talking about how WatchMojo are terrible and, you know, the epitome of everything that's wrong with YouTube, but I think it's important to set the stage and also establish what it means to create a video and the incredible variance there is when that video goes live to the public, and how it really does help if you make 5 shitty videos because only one of them has to be slightly less shitty.
Hey listen, I'm not saying that WatchMojo are exclusively churning out dozens of videos a week because they got bills to pay, but I am saying that they're a soulless corporation that have distilled the idea of content creation down to its raw components with the sole purpose of throwing as much shit at the wall as possible, hoping that something sticks with people. The whole 5 videos a day thing would be justifiable if it wasn't so obvious why WatchMojo releases so much content, and it's less about putting up multiple episodes of a series a day and more like hedging your bets. Even if one of those videos takes off and does well for views, the whole setup is justified and cost effective. Even more so when stretched across a week and you've got 40 or 50 tickets for the lottery. There's a good chance that something will work among all of the varied topics you're making videos on. It takes creative burnout out of the equation since they're not meticulously choosing the right topic at just the right time and actually just throwing everything out at once. It's the sawed-off shotgun approach to content creation that might hit the target, but very easily includes such wayward gems as top 10 soups and top 10 iconic cheeses.
This may be surprising to hear, but I'm not a die-hard fan of WatchMojo, so I haven't seen every single video they've made, because honestly, I don't have an hour a day to spend watching mediocrity, but I actually don't believe that they've made a video about iconic cheeses. Like, we need to find this out. Like, surely they haven't. Well, this is entertainment.
What even is an iconic cheese? Would you ever, in casual conversation, describe a cheese as iconic? This just raises further questions about what qualities help to push one cheese above another, and whether it comes down to popularity or what cheese sells the most at supermarkets. And would something like Stilton count as iconic despite it being more of an acquired taste? And surely cheddar would be number one because it's just so universal. And now I want to watch the fucking video to have some of these questions answered, and hey, we've struck on what makes topics like these work. Be it curiosity or needing to watch a video about cheese just to say that you have, it's a video topic that grabs your attention and demands you have thoughts about it, positive or negative. It could make for a fun video to make if you don't take it seriously, and yet, given WatchMojo's reputation for grinding out videos, I don't think they have the ability to stand still long enough to make a joke video or something self-referential. It's very on brand to create something underwhelming under the guise of being definitively informative. A video that is the last word on iconic cheeses. Hey, it's definitely a hole in the market, and that's always worth pursuing if you're looking for that boost in views that is fairly essential for sustaining growth and financial security on YouTube, but it's coming for a business model that promotes a quantity over quality approach. But how can WatchMojo manage all of this and keep up this kind of production? Well, they have a website, which is just a sensory overload of random topics to keep you occupied, basically all of them being re-uploads of their YouTube videos, possibly embedded directly from YouTube, but I can't be sure of that. It's basically a combination of every branch of WatchMojo on one website, which is tens of thousands of videos to watch if you're not sure how to fill the next 15 minutes, combined with some articles to tap into that BuzzFeed demographic, just in case you really need to know what to wear to your first country music concert. This is all fine, if a bit uninteresting to mention, which is why I want to focus on their Suggest section, where WatchMojo users can upvote or downvote video topics for WatchMojo to possibly make a video about in the future. This is primarily where all these wacky ideas come from, because from my own experience asking my audience to share their own ideas for future videos, these suggestions can get pretty wild. And most of them are fairly inoffensive and hardly the craziest ideas that could or should never be turned into a video, but they are a little bit bland. They kind of need to be if you're making close to 2,000 of these every year, since there simply aren't enough interesting topics to go around, and when you've got a fan base that are actively encouraged to contribute to an almost automated system that pushes some sparks of inspiration out like top 20 green characters. This Wahid Abdullah guy has a lot of ideas though. Maybe he should make some of these himself.
So they've got this massive network of channels all hard at work on the assembly line to ensure that thousands of videos are made every single year without a hitch, and that is fantastic if you see content creation as a series of boxes that need ticking. But me personally, I've always liked YouTube for its ability to give you personalities to get attached to, and that having the chance for every video to have some uniqueness to it, and not to feel like it's been made by a robot and voiced by one.
Hey, here's a game you can play at home. Look up a fairly generic title for a video, let's say Top 10 Worst Games of 2021, and see what comes up. You're probably looking for the best looking thumbnail or a name that you recognize. Oh shit, what up? Or some tangible, personable quality that can help separate one video from another. Maybe you fancy watching Stephanie Sterling's video or seeing what Mac from Worth a Buy thinks about this topic, or hey, it's Austin Eruption. He's a cool guy. Basically, you find a channel for the topics they cover, but you grow attached to the personality behind the channel and how they get their points across or their sense of humor. It's like YouTube 101 under most circumstances, but if you're creating this massive library of videos with an easily replicated formula, then no personality or organic humor shines through. Are there many people out there wanting to watch the latest WatchMojo video because they want to hear what voiceover lady has to say about rejected athletes that became successful?
Welcome to WatchMojo, and today we're counting down our picks for the top 10 rejected athletes that became successful.
I suppose things are a little better now, since more recent videos now credit the voiceover work with a picture and a link to their socials, and it's a noticeable change from a disembodied voice rattling off a script that they're clearly reading aloud for the first time. At least WatchMojo gives them plenty of work to do every week. Work that is only possible because of the sheer amount of script that is written every week. And I know it's a script because A, you can hear that the voiceover people are putting on a voice with predictable rises and falls, and B, most WatchMojo videos actually come with the entire script written out on their website, and I know you lot aren't transcribing every word afterwards because I've seen how much effort you put into your average video. I know you aren't paying people to write shit down as it's said.
I've just realised that in order to make this video, I need to watch a lot of WatchMojo videos, and I'm not sure I can do it. Like, it's a really daunting task. It's a weird thing to think about, actually, because as I'm writing this, I haven't really done a lot of it, but as you're watching this now, I will have already done it. So just know that for your entertainment and potentially your education, I am suffering so you don't have to.
Like any large channel with lots of videos to make, WatchMojo divide up the role so that no one individual is left with way too much to do. Not a bad strategy to be fair, but whereas a lot of other personality-driven channels employ editors to help out with the creation of the finished video, WatchMojo also has a group of freelance writers who take on topics and crank out some scripts that skim through 10 entries in 12 minutes or so. The problem with multiple writers is it's extremely hard for any kind of personality to shine through, and I know I've said that a few times now, but it really does enforce WatchMojo's defining trait of being a database full of bland, banal videos that are full of information but severely lacking a pulse. These scripts make for weird reading, since they make like one point why their selection is justified, and spend the rest of the time stating facts to pad the runtime. For a lot of these videos, they have honourable mentions, which just tells me how little these videos have to say, and how desperate they are to reach 10 minutes so they can fill it full of mid-roll ads. The problem with this setup, among many, is that having so many writers can be hard for quality assurance, especially if they're freelance. Although, to be fair, when the standard for quality is this low, you just need to tick a handful of boxes and you're golden. I'm sure there's senior writers who'll be given more lucrative videos to write to ensure that no one fucks it up, but it does strike of WatchMojo spreading themselves a bit too thin to be on par with something like BuzzFeed. In fact, WatchMojo are basically the BuzzFeed of YouTube. Thousands of new topics covered every year with a handful of good ones, an entire ocean of mediocre sewage designed to waste your time with as little effort as possible. When you got so many people writing so many videos, you're bound to slip up and offend people with a tasteless video topic like, top 10 mass shootings? In both US and non-US variants, don't you know? Or upset a specific fan base, like when they said that Gravity Falls was one of the worst shows on Disney, or, you know, just plagiarism. Yeah, Guru Larry slipped a few false facts into his video on worst selling consoles, and so when WatchMojo made their equivalent video that parroted these same facts, they were caught in the trap. They later apologized and took their video down, but the fallout revealed a few harsh truths about how they treat their writers, with numerous former freelancers sharing their own experience of low pay, strict deadlines, and a lack of credit. What do you mean that hundreds of videos a month comes at a cost of integrity and overall quality? That's madness!
I've been asked on 3 separate occasions by WatchMojo to come join them as a writer. Once by email, once bizarrely when they slid into my Twitter DMs, and also in person, because I went to Con Bravo in 2018. I met this guy who was a representative of WatchMojo, not sure if it was senior staff or one of their writers who was out headhunting, and he gave me a card, and I so dearly wish I had this card for you now, because I could hold it up and say, hey, I still got the card, I could still be a writer for WatchMojo, but I've moved at least 2 times since then. I think it got lost in the move somehow. So unfortunately, I'm gonna have to ask if I want another bite of the cherry.
Anyway, I've dedicated more time to caring about WatchMojo than any one person should, so let's go back to the original intent of this video and why WatchMojo epitomise everything that is wrong with YouTube. It's not the fact that they've taken a more business-oriented approach to content creation, since there are hundreds of large channels out there with a fleet of employees under their wing, but it's the lack of effort that really boils my piss. They've less carved a niche for themselves over the years and kind of just spread out like a puddle to reach every tiny corner of pop culture, so that regardless what you're using YouTube for, there's a good chance the WatchMojo will be there waiting in the suggested videos. Also, something that I kind of forgot to mention but I'm saying now, kind of off the cuff, is that just before the end of 2021, WatchMojo made a video about NFTs, kind of looking at the most iconic stories of 2021 involving NFTs, I don't know. And if you still need some kind of sign that WatchMojo are misguided as a company and just looking for something to talk about, the fact they made a video on NFTs, which are just like the worst thing currently around, but they also doubled down in the comments section once they got backlash for it and said that, oh, we need to cover this because it's important, and oh, look how much money it's making year on year, that means we have to talk about it. So just what the fuck. If you enjoy their videos, that's fine, but you gotta know that with all the talented creators on this website, you could do so much better. What's worse is that now that WatchMojo have been pretty successful and have amassed this giant network of channels, they don't seem to want to do better. They have the resources to create better videos and pay their contributors more money, but this level of mundanity has worked so well for them so far, why would they change? If it's proven to work this well, why would anyone change? If you're really that focused on profit, then why make anything for the passion of it? That would take, time. I bet you can make 5 videos in that time, and only one of them needs to be good.
With the types of videos I do, it's a constant battle to be more personality driven and less clinical, and I won't lie and say that it hasn't affected the videos I've made in the past. And all I can do now is buckle down and, make videos about them to ride off the popularity of their name. This is RabbidLuigi, and if you've enjoyed this video, make sure to like and subscribe for more in the future, and if you want to watch something right now, there's a video here about the worst games from last year. I also want to thank my top supporters on Patreon, including the Green Scorpion, Sarah Mallion, and Scott Riker. Thank you for watching, and how the fuck do you rank mass shootings?